Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Chimwaza. I am your tutor for professional writing. The subject code is POLD PW. This is an examination-based contact class. Welcome to the professional writing policing module 3 in particular. I am your tutor for professional writing, and I will mark your assignments as well as the examination for this subject. I wish you all to be hardworking, dedicated, and self-driven students in this course. This presentation will cover the examination questions. General guidelines on writing exams will be explained. Module assessment policy. Continuous assessment per semester module consists of one assignment of 120 marks for modules of 10 credits. A 50% semester continuous assessment mark is required for admission to the exam. A 60% pass mark is required for practical assignments that will account for 50% of the continuous assessment mark. The duration of the examination of 10 credits is one written paper of 2 hours and a half for 120 marks. A final pass mark of 50% is required, calculated by 60% of the examination mark and 40% of the continuous assessment mark. A sub-minimum of 50% must be attained in the examination. The setting and marking of examination papers are moderated. Module requirements. The attendance of all contact training opportunities are organized by IOL The attendance of all contact training opportunities that are organized by IOL is compulsory. Acquire the study guide and all relevant prescribed material or recommended website information. All assignments must be handed in on time. Student with special circumstances struggling to meet deadlines should contact IOL in time. All forms of academic dishonesty, such as cheating and plagiarism, are prohibited. You are encouraged to manage your study time well and engage in learning circles. Focus on understanding, asking what, why, and how questions before memorizing a content. Admissions to examinations depend upon successful attainment of the required continuous assessment mark. Exit learning outcomes. Upon completion of this module, you should be able to evaluate the importance of different styles of writing, practice different styles of writing within a police organization, distinguish between professional writing and business writing, apply professional writing in official communication. Examination questions. These examination questions are discussed as a summary of the assignments. They appear on the tutorial letter for 2022. Here are the questions as follows. Question 1, we are going to look at professional letter writing. Remember all the stages in writing a business letter. Pay attention to the correct structure of a letter, including the two addresses. A business letter is a formal letter, therefore you should use a professional tone. A business letter is brief and straight to the point. Also, when you are writing a business letter, don't forget the salutations, the proper salutation. The dear sir or madam, if you are not familiar on who the letter is going to, if you don't know who the letter should be addressed to, but if you know who you address the letter to, you should simply say, dear Miss Chimaza, for example. And when you are finishing your letter, you finish your letter by saying, yours faithfully, yours sincerely. This is a business letter. You don't put the final salutation as your best friend or your colleague, because it becomes informal. So since it's a formal letter, you need to salute your final salutations to be proper. And also don't forget that when you are writing a professional letter, there should be a reference. A reference is the purpose of writing the letter. Why are you writing the letter? If it is a complaint, maybe you are complaining, you are not happy about your working hours, for example. So in your reference, you write complaining about too much working hours. This is just an example. So know that a professional letter should have a reference. Don't just write your letter with no reference. All these things that I'm stating, they are awarded marks. Question 2, report writing. Okay, I'm going to take you through the headings and the subheadings of a report, because I felt like it was pointless for me to give you a sample report if you are not familiar with the subheadings and headings of a report. So the first heading, we have the title page. This will include the title of the report, who has written it, and the date it was written or submitted. I'll repeat again. Title page. This will include the title of the report, who has written it, and the date it was written or submitted. We also have acknowledgements. After title page, there comes acknowledgement. Okay, these headings are in order. So when you're writing your report, I should see title page, followed by acknowledgement, followed by the table of contents, followed by the executive summary, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, now the acknowledgements and the forward. This is the thanks to the people or the organization who helped you when you were conducting your research. After you conduct your research, that's when you write the report. Contents page. This is the table of contents. As in a book, this lists the headings in the report together with the page numbers, showing where the particular section, illustration, etc. can be located. Executive summary. This is the most important part of many reports. This is the executive summary. This is now the summary of the report itself. So when I'm done reading your summary, I should already have an idea of what is written in the report, of the report findings. So this is the most important part of many reports and may be the only section that some readers read in detail. It should be written carefully, with a complete overview of the message in the report and a clear summary of your recommendation. Terms of references. This section sets the scene for your report. It defines the scope and limitations of the investigation and the purpose of the report. It should say who the report is for. Any constraints, for example, your deadlines, your permitted length, in other words, your aims and objective. The overall purpose of your report and more specifically what you want to achieve. This is what you include in the terms of reference. Methodology, the procedures. This section outlines how you investigated the area, how you gathered information, where, from, and how much. For example, if you used a survey, how the survey was carried out, how did you decide on the target group, how many were surveyed, how were they surveyed, was it by interview or did you use questionnaires? That is the methodology. Now we move on to the introduction, or we call it the background. This helps to tune readers to the background of your report. It is not another name of a summary and should not be confused with it. They can be two separate sections or combined. Background detail could include details of the topic you are writing about. You could take the opportunity to expand on your terms of reference within the introduction. Give more detail as the background of your report. But remember, keep it relevant, factual, and brief. Findings, or the analysis. Now, this is the main part of the report. When on findings and analysis, depending on the type of report you are writing, you can also write it in point form. But when you are writing it point form, make sure that your points are clearly defined or they are clearly explained. They should not be vague if there are points. Just because you are putting it in point form does not mean that you can be vague. Now, this is the main body of the report where you develop your ideas. Make sure it is well structured with clear headings and that your readers can find information easily. Use paragraphs within each section to cover one aspect of the subject at a time. Okay, now if you're not writing it in point form, it means each point and its explanation should be written on its own paragraph. Do not mix the points with the explanation on the same paragraph. Include graphs or other visuals, material. Okay, findings and analysis. This is data presentation. You are now presenting the information or the facts that you were researching on. Like here on the methodology, it is the questionnaires and or whether the interview. So the information, the data that you gathered when you went on and now quantified your questionnaires or the interviews, this is what you are going to put here on the fact finding. So this is data presentation. The nature of this section will depend on the brief and scope of the report. The sections should deal with the main topics being discussed. There should be a logical sequence moving from the descriptive to the analytical. It should contain sufficient information to justify the conclusion and the recommendation, which follows. Selection of appropriate information is crucial here. If the information is important to help to understand, then it should be included. Irrelevant information should be omitted. Now, after you are done with your findings, with your data presentation, you go on to the conclusion. Remember I said with the data presentation you can use graphs, you can use pie charts, you can use images, you can use anything to aid you in writing your findings. Now the conclusion here, these are drawn from the analysis of the previous section. Okay, so now when you went on to the findings, you are simply just listing what you found. Now on the conclusion, now you are concluding on the findings that you got here. I said these are drawn from the analysis in the previous section and should be clear and concise. They should also link back to the terms of references. At this stage in a report, no new information can be included. The conclusion should cover what you have deduced about the situation. Bullet points will be satisfactory. So in your conclusion, it's just points. And remember, you should not add any new information in your conclusion. After conclusion, we go on to recommendations. Now the recommendations highlight any action that needs to follow from your work. Okay, you went on here. You found all this information here, and after finding the information, you went and concluded on the research that you were doing. Now, after you conclude, you now recommend. Now, a report needs to answer, or it needs to solve a problem. Why are you researching on something? So, meaning when you are researching, there should have been a problem, and you went on and found out what is causing these problems. You concluded. After you concluded, you now come and you recommend, find solutions to the problems. Now, your readers will want to know what you should do as a result of reading your report, and will not want to dig for more information. For example, maybe you were writing a report on maybe poor customer services at police stations. When the management is done reading your report, they need to find out what should they do to improve on the poor customer service. I hope it's clear. Make them specific recommendations, such as it is recommended that some changes should be made, are not helpful, merely irritating. As with the conclusion, recommendations should be clearly derived from the main body of the report, and again, no new information should be included here. After your recommendation, you move on to your references. This is the bibliography. References are items referred to in the report. The bibliography contains additional material not specifically referred to, but which readers might want to follow up. There is also appendix. Use this to provide any additional or detailed information which your reader may need for references, but do not include key data which your reader really need in the main body of the report. Appendices must be relevant and should be numbered so that they can be referred to in the main body. The glossary of terms or the abbreviations. If you used abbreviations in your report, you now need to come here and you provide a glossary if you think it will help your reader to do, but do not use as an excuse to include jargon in the report that your reader may not understand. Okay, I'm going to just summarize here the important titles that should not be excluded from the report. It's the title page, the acknowledgement, the table of contents, executive summary, methodology, introduction, findings, conclusion, and recommendations. So I omitted terms of reference. I omitted references, appendix, and glossary because when you are in an exam, you did not have time to go on to do references. You did not go and consult any textbooks. So that's why I omitted them. So you need to please pay attention to all the important headings that needs to be included when you are writing a report. Question 3, writing an email. There are 5 elements that must be inclusive in a professional email. These include: begin with a greeting. You need to thank the recipient. You need to state your purpose. You need to add your closing remark. End with a closing. These are 5 elements that should be inclusive when you're writing a professional email. And when you are greeting in a professional, do not greet as if you are writing an email to your friend or to your let me use friend, because this is a professional email. Question 4, drafting a memo. Type the subject memorandum at the top of the page. State that this document is a memorandum at the onset. Label the page memorandum. Double space between the line and the next line of the heading. Address the recipient appropriately. A memo is a formal business communication, and you should add the reader. A memo is a formal business communication, and you should address the reader formally as well. Use a full name and title of the person to whom you are sending the memo to. If you are sending a memo to the entire staff, you simply write to all employees. Add additional recipients in the line CC. The CC line indicates who will receive a courtesy copy of the memo. This is not the person to whom the memo is directed. Rather, this is someone who may need to stay informed about the policies or issues that you are addressing in the memo. Write your name in the from line. The heading needs to include who is writing and sending the memo. Your full name and job title goes in this line. Include the date. Write the complete date, spelling out the month and including the date and the year. For example, write date 5 January 2016. Choose a specific phrase for the subject line. The subject line gives the reader an idea of what the memo is about. Be specific but concise. For example, instead of writing ants for the subject, be more specific by writing ant problem in the office. Suggest the action that the reader should take. A memo is a call for action on a particular issue. Whether it is an announcement about a new company product, new policies regarding expenses, reports, or a statement about how the company is addressing a problem. Restate the action that the reader should take in the closing paragraph or sentence. For example, you might write, all employees must use the new accounting system by 1 June 2016. This also includes some evidence to back up your your recommendation. Close the memo with a positive, warm summary. The memo's final paragraph should restate the next step to address the issue at hand. It should also include a warm note that reiterates the solidarity of the organization. Things to remember. Remember to always read and understand the question before writing. Always draft. Always make a draft. Pay attention to your grammar and your spellings. Write each question on a new page. Write clearly and neatly. Instructions and information to candidates. What should you do in this assignment? Provide sufficient answers, meaning do not write too little or too much. Always check the mark allocated to determine the length of your answer. Try by all means to use your own words and refer to your own experience. Make sure your statement ideas make sense of what you intend to do. Okay, there is a reason, before we conclude, there is a reason why we went through all the stages of writing a professional letter, stages of writing a report, and stages of writing an email, and stages of writing a memorandum. Because this module is professional writing, most of the questions that are going to be asked, you are going to ask to write a letter, you are going to ask to write a report, you are going to ask to write an email or a memo, and these are the things that are expected of you when you are tackling such questions. So already start practicing, especially with reports, because I have already mentioned that reports, they are awarded mostly 25 marks, meaning it's not something that is going to be short. Yes, we expect you to summarize, especially when it comes to the exams, but when it comes to assignments, there's no need for summarizing because you had ample time to do the assignment. So pay attention to all the things that I have mentioned when it comes to a professional letter, a report writing, memos, memorandums, or emails. Now, good luck with all the exams. Do not hesitate to contact me should you experience some challenges in your study. My contact details, my email is sabe.chim@yahoo.com, and my mobile number is 081 7356 991. You can still get hold of me on 081 330 6030. There's no problem. All the numbers are still working. But only contact me during office hours, Monday to Friday from 9 until 4. Good luck and goodbye.